qualification session is at Lausitz Ring GP layout in Klettwitz, Germany. The wind speed is 10 km/h from the northeast. Rene Robertson is second. Barry Sale from Spain is P9. Rene Robertson from England is first with 50 kilos. Brian Patterson from Scotland is fourth with 30 kilos. Ian Weeks from United Kingdom is 15th with 5 kilos. Connor McKee from Norway is 12th. Rene Robertson is second. Best lap is a 2:42.330. 14.792 off pole. Ten minutes remaining in the session. Rene Robertson improved is first with a 2:13.623. Mark Scott from Norway is 10th. Mardij Mol from Netherlands is P12 with 50 kilos. Glenfield from United Kingdom is P9 up 28.28 with 30 kilos. Ian Weeks is P12 up 28.20. Weeks improved is 13th with a 2:33.018. 19.395 off pole. Rene Robertson is first up 0.29 with 50 kilos. Rene Robertson is provisional pole with a 2:13.388. Robert Cormack from Scotland is 15th up 10.61. Robert Cormack improved his 12th with a 2:17.325. 3.937 off pole. Martijn Mol is provisional pole with a 2:13.149. John Astrup is 4th. John Astrup improved his P3 with a 2:13.903. 0.754 off pole. Connor McKee is P12 up 0.65. Connor McKee improved his P11 with a 2:15.844. 2.695 off pole. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Ian Weeks is 16th. David Forsyth from Ireland is P7 with 10 kilos. David Forsyth improved his P5 with a 2:14.327. 1.178 off pole. Robert Cormack from Scotland is P14 up 0.89. Robert Cormack improved his P14 with a 2:16.552. 3.403 off pole. Dominic Faubourg from United Kingdom is 4th up 1.81 with 30 kilos. Barry Sale is 15th up 0.86. Andre Sale improved is 10th with a 2:15.710. 2.561 off pole. Daniel Handke from Germany is P7 with 50 kilos. Daniel Handke improved his P4 with a 2:13.985. 0.836 off pole. Ian Weeks is 16th. Ian Weeks improved his P16 with a 2:16.558. 3.409 off pole. Mark Scott is 11th up 0.39. Mark Scott improved his P10 with a 2:15.559. 2.410 off pole. Rene Robertson is second up 0.62. Rene Robertson is provisional pole with a 2:12.323. Brian Patterson is 15th. Brian Patterson improved his third with a 2:13.633. 1.310 off pole. Mark Scott is 11th up 0.48. Robert Cormack from Scotland is 13th up 0.54. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Robert Cormack improved his P10 with a 2:15.195. 2.872 off pole. John Astrop from New Zealand is P4 up 0.39 with 50 kilos. John Astrop improved his P3 with a 2:13.446. 1.123 off pole. David Kelsall from England is P15 up 0.14 with 10 kilos. David Kelsall improved his P13 with a 2:15.662. 3.339 off pole. Dominic Favarg is 6th. Dominic Favarg improved his P2 with a 2:13.115. 0.792 off pole. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is P9 with 50 kilos. Dominic Singendonk improved his P2 with a 2:12.710. 0.387 off pole. Rene Robertson is provisional pole with a 2:12.244. Brian Patterson is 6th. Brian Patterson improved his third with a 2:12.836. 0.592 off pole. Connor McKee is P15. The race session is at Lausitz Ring GP layout in Klettwitz, Germany. The wind speed is 10 km/h from the north-northeast. Rene Robertson is first. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is P2 with 50 kilos. Brian Patterson from Scotland is third with 30 kilos. Dominic Faubourg from United Kingdom is fourth with 30 kilos. Martijn Mol from Netherlands is P5 with 50 kilos. John Astrop from New Zealand is P6 with 50 kilos. Daniel Handke from Germany is P7 with 50 kilos. David Forsyth from Ireland is P8 with 10 kilos. Attila Ksanyi from Hungary is 9th with 50 kilos. Robert Cormack from Scotland is 10th. Mark Scott from Norway is P11. David Kelsall from England is 12th with 10 kilos. Barry Sale from Spain is P13. Connor McKee from Norway is P14. Ian Weeks from United Kingdom is P15 with 5 kilos. Rene Robertson from England is P1 with 50 kilos. "40 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Dominic Faubourg is fourth. Martijn Mol is P5. Martijn Mol is now P6. David Forsyth is P7. David Forsyth lost 7th to Attila Ksanyi. David Kelsall is 9th. Robert Cormack is 11th. Brian Patterson is P2. Daniel Handke is 5th. David Forsyth is P9. David Forsyth is now P8. Dominic Singendonk is P11, 0.3 behind Robert Cormack. Dominic Singendonk passed Robert Cormack for P10. David Kelsall entering the pits is P15. Ian Weeks is 12, 0.4 behind Robert Cormack. Daniel Handke is 5th, 0.2 behind John Astrop. Martijn Mol is P6 with 50 kilos, 0.5 behind Daniel Handke. Barry Sale entering the pits is 14. Dominic Singendonk is 10, 0.5 behind Mark Scott. Ian Weeks is 12, 0.3 behind Robert Cormack. Martijn Mol is 5th, 0.2 ahead of Daniel Handke. Barry Sale exiting pits. Daniel Handke is P6 battling Martijn Mol. Barry Sale entering the pits is 14th. Adelak Sanyi on lap 2 is 7th, 0.4 behind Daniel Handke. Ian Weeks is P12, 0.2 behind Robert Cormack. Martijn Mol is 5th, 0.2 behind John Astrup. Adelak Sanyi is P6. Best lap is a 2:15.091. 1.370 off the fastest lap. 35 minutes remaining in the session. Martijn Mol on lap 3 is P5, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Dominic Faubourg is 3rd, 0.7 behind Brian Patterson. Dominic Faubourg was 1.2 faster last lap. Martijn Mol is P5. Best lap is a 2:15.291. 1.570 off the fastest lap. Connor McKee is P12, 0.5 behind Ian Weeks. Martijn Mol is 5th, 0.1 behind John Astrup. Connor McKee on lap 3 is P12, 0.4 behind Ian Weeks. Daniel Handke on lap 3 is 13th, 0.2 behind Connor McKee. John Astrup on lap 4 is 5th, 0.2 behind Martijn Mol. Dominic Faubourg is 3rd, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is P5, 0.4 behind Martijn Mol. Dominic Faubourg is 3rd, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is 5th, 0.7 behind Martin Mole. Dominic Favart from United Kingdom is 3rd, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Dominic Favart passed Brian Patterson for 2nd. Brian Patterson is P3, 0.4 behind Dominic Favart. John Astrup is P5, 0.1 behind Martin Mole. John Astrup passed Martin Mole for P4. Martin Mole from Netherlands is 5th, 0.4 behind John Astrup. Dominic Favart is P3, 0.3 ahead of John Astrup. John Astrup is P4, 0.4 behind Dominic Favart. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Martin Mole is 5th, 0.3 behind John Astrup. Dominic Favart is P3. Best lap is a 2:14.160. 0.579 off the fastest lap. Dominic Favart lost P5 to David Forsyth. Adalek Sanyi is 8th, 0.5 behind Dominic Favart. John Astrup is P3, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. Martin Mole is 4th with 50 kilos, 0.2 behind John Astrup. John Astrup is 3rd, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Martin Mole is 4th, 0.4 behind John Astrup. Martin Mole is now 3rd. Adalek Sanyi is P7, 0.8 behind Dominic Favart. Adalek Sanyi was 9.6 faster last lap. Mark Scott is 8th, 0.5 behind Adalek Sanyi. Mark Scott passed Adalek Sanyi for P7. John Astrup is P9, 0.2 behind Adalek Sanyi. Mark Scott is P7, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Mark Scott passed Brian Patterson for 6th. The race session is at Lausitz Ring GP layout in Klettwitz, Germany. The wind speed is 8 km/h from the north-northeast. Conor McKee is first. Robert Cormack from Scotland is second. Mark Scott from Norway is P3. Daniel Handke from Germany is P4 with 50 kilos. Brian Patterson from Scotland is 5th with 30 kilos. John Astrop from New Zealand is 6th with 50 kilos. Dominic Faubourg from United Kingdom is 7th with 30 kilos. Dominic Singendonk from Netherlands is P8 with 50 kilos. Martijn Mol from Netherlands is 9th with 50 kilos. Rene Robertson from England is P11 with 50 kilos. Barry Sale from Spain is P12. Ian Weeks from United Kingdom is 13th with 5 kilos. David Kelsall from England is 14th with 10 kilos. Conor McKee from Norway is first. Minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Daniel Handke is P4. Daniel Handke passed Mark Scott for third. Mark Scott is fourth. Martijn Mol is P8. Dominic Faubourg is P8. Dominic Singendonk is 9th. Dominic Singendonk is now 8th. Dominic Singendonk is now P7. Martijn Mol is P8. Daniel Handke is second. Daniel Handke passed Conor McKee for first. Robert Cormack is P4. David Forsyth from Ireland is 7th with 10 kilos battling Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Faubourg is 5th battling Robert Cormack. Robert Cormack is P6 battling Dominic Singendonk. Martijn Mol is 7th, 0.3 ahead of David Forsyth. Martijn Mol passed Robert Cormack for P6. Robert Cormack is P7 battling Martijn Mol. David Forsyth is P8 with 10 kilos, 0.1 behind Robert Cormack. David Kelsall is 9, 0.2 ahead of Ian Weeks. Ian Weeks is 10th. Best lap is a 2:34.270. 9.685 off the fastest lap. Ian Weeks is now 12th. David Kelsall from England is 13th battling Ian Weeks. David Kelsall is now 13th. John Astrup is 12th, 0.2 behind Mark Scott. John Astrup passed Mark Scott for P11. Brian Patterson is P9, 0.3 behind David Forsyth. Brian Patterson passed David Forsyth for P8. 35 minutes remaining in the session. David Forsyth on lap 2 is P10, 0.4 behind Martijn Mol. Connor McKee on lap 3 is 3rd battling Rene Robertson. Dominic Faubourg is P4. Best lap is a 2:14.410. 0.466 off the fastest lap. Dominic Faubourg is now P3. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 0.2 behind Dominic Faubourg. Ian Weeks is P12, 0.8 behind Mark Scott. Mark Scott was 13.1 faster last lap. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 0.5 behind Dominic Faubourg. David Kelsall from England is 13th, 0.8 behind Ian Weeks. Barry Sale from Spain is 7th, 0.6 behind Robert Cormack. Barry Sale lost 9th to Brian Patterson. David Kelsall is 12th battling Barry Sale. Brian Patterson is P9. Best lap is a 2:20.887. 6.943 off the fastest lap. David Kelsall is P12 with 10 kilos, 0.1 behind Ian Weeks. David Kelsall passed Ian Weeks for 11th. Ian Weeks is P12 battling David Kelsall. David Kelsall was 1.8 faster last lap. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 0.3 behind Dominic Faubourg. John Astrup is P13, 0.3 behind Ian Weeks. Dominic Singendonk is P4, 0.2 behind Dominic Faubourg. Dominic Faubourg is P4, 0.4 behind Dominic Singendonk. From Ireland is P9, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson was 1.8 faster last lap. John Astrup is 12th, 0.5 behind David Kelsall. John Astrup was 1.9 faster last lap. 30 minutes remaining in the session. David Forsyth is 9. Best lap is a 2:16.495. 3.475 off the fastest lap. Barry Sale entering the pits is P14. John Astrup is P12 with 50 kilos, 0.5 behind David Kelsall. David Forsyth is P9, 0.6 behind Brian Patterson. Martijn Mol from Netherlands is 7th, 0.6 behind Robert Cormack. Martijn Mol was 2.9 faster last lap. David Forsyth is P9, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Martijn Mol is P7, 0.2 behind Robert Cormack. Martijn Mol was 4.2 faster last lap. Robert Cormack is P7, 0.2 behind Martijn Mol. David Forsyth is P9, 0.7 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is P11, 0.5 behind Mark Scott. Rene Robertson is second, 0.5 behind Daniel Handke. Rene Robertson was 1.0 faster last lap. John Astrup is P11, 0.2 behind Mark Scott. Rene Robertson is P2, 0.4 behind Daniel Handke. Rene Robertson was 1.2 faster last lap. Mark Scott is P11, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Rene Robertson is second, 0.5 behind Daniel Handke. Ryan Patterson on lap 7 is P8, 0.7 behind Robert Cormack. "25 minutes remaining in the session. Robert Cormack is P8, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. Daniel Handke from Germany is second, 0.3 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is ninth, 0.3 behind Robert Cormack. Robert Cormack on lap 7 is P9, 0.1 behind David Forsyth. Daniel Handke is P2, 0.8 behind Rene Robertson. Mark Scott is 11th, 1.1 behind John Astrup. Daniel Handke is P2. Best lap is a 2:14.093. 1.381 off the fastest lap. John Astrup from New Zealand is 10th, 0.5 behind Robert Cormack. John Astrup was 5.0 faster last lap. Barry Sale exiting pits. Mark Scott is P11, 1.4 behind John Astrup. Robert Cormack is P10. Best lap is a 2:17.175. 4.861 off the fastest lap. Mark Scott is 11th, 0.3 behind Robert Cormack. Robert Cormack is P11 battling Mark Scott. Ian Weeks is 13th, 1.4 behind David Kelsall. David Kelsall was 4.3 faster last lap. Robert Cormack from Scotland is P11, 1.4 behind Mark Scott. "20 minutes remaining in the session. Dominic Singendonk is P3 with 50 kilos, 1.6 behind Daniel Handke. Daniel Handke on lap 10 is second, 1.5 ahead of Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Singendonk is third. Best lap is a 2:12.712. 0.398 off the fastest lap. John Astrop is 9th, 1.4 behind David Forsyth. Dominic Singendonk is third, 1.7 behind Daniel Handke. John Astrop is P9, 1.4 behind David Forsyth. Daniel Handke is second, 1.9 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrop is P9, 0.9 behind David Forsyth. Daniel Hanke is second, 2.1 behind Rene Robertson. John Astrup on lap 11 is P9, 0.8 behind David Forsyth. Martijn Mol is P6 with 50 kilos, 2.1 behind Conor McKee. John Astrup is P9, 0.7 behind David Forsyth. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Martijn Mol is P6, 1.2 behind Conor McKee. John Astrup is P9, 0.8 behind David Forsyth. Martijn Mol is 6th, 0.8 behind Conor McKee. Martijn Mol was 2.1 faster last lap. John Astrup is P9, 0.4 behind David Forsyth. Martijn Mol is P6, 0.7 behind Conor McKee. Barry Sale entering the pits is P14. John Astrup is 9. Best lap is a 2:13.542. 1.228 off the fastest lap. Conor McKee is 6th, 0.4 behind Martijn Mol. David Forsyth is P9, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Conor McKee is 6th, 0.6 behind Martijn Mol. David Forsyth is 9th, 0.9 behind John Astrup. Daniel Handke is P2, 2.7 behind Rene Robertson. David Forsyth is 9, 1.7 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is now P8. John Astrup from New Zealand is P7, 1.8 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P8. Ten minutes remaining in the session. John Astrup is 7th, 1.9 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P8, 2.2 behind John Astrup. John Astrup is 7th, 1.6 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup was 1.2 faster last lap. David Forsyth is 8th, 2.4 behind John Astrup. John Astrup is 7th, 1.4 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P8, 2.9 behind John Astrup. John Astrup from New Zealand is P7, 0.9 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup was 0.8 faster last lap. David Forsyth is P8. Best lap is a 2:13.970. 1.656 off the fastest lap. John Astrup is P7, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. Dominik Singendonk is P3, 3.4 behind Daniel Handke. John Astrup is 7th, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is 8th. John Astrup is P7. Five minutes remaining in the session. David Forsyth from Ireland is 8th, 3.4 behind John Astrup. John Astrup on lap 16 is P7, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth from Ireland is P8, 3.7 behind John Astrup. John Astrup is P7, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is 8th, 3.6 behind John Astrup. John Astrup was 0.6 faster last lap. Brian Patterson is P7 with 30 kilos, 0.3 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is 8th, 3.4 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is P7, 1.9 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is 8th, 2.4 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is 7th, 1.9 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is 8th, 2.3 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth was 1.4 faster last lap. Brian Patterson from Scotland is P7, 1.8 behind John Astrup. David Forsyth is 8th, 2.4 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth was 1.5 faster last lap. Brian Patterson is 7th, 2.3 behind John Astrup. John Astrup was 2.2 faster last lap. David Forsyth is P8, 2.3 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is P7, 2.4 ahead of David Forsyth. David Forsyth is P8, 2.3 behind Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson is P7, 2.2 ahead of David Forsyth. The leader has just finished the race. Rene Robertson finished first. Daniel Handke finished P2. Dominic Singendon finished third. Ian Weeks finished 13th. Dominic Bobard finished fourth. Mardij Mole finished P5. John Astrup finished P6. Brian Patterson finished P7. David Forsyth finished 8th. Connor McKee finished P9. Mark Scott finished P10. Robert Cormack finished P11. David Kelsall finished P12.